starts with Brent Webb as his option. We will see if that's the case. Alan, you get to have a stab at this one as well.
I'm going to go for another Brett. I'm going to go for Brett Hodgson.
Okay. Brett Hodgson's the second one, so he played in one for Warrington, didn't he? Brent Webb, of course, played for Leeds. Paul, do you have any different names to pull out there of any potential players who might have played more in the NRL than Brent Webb or Brett Hodgson?
No, I would say Brett Hodgson.
Okay, well, none of you receive a bonus point on that round because Matty Bowen.
Oh, the Mango.
Whoa.
Played the most. Brett Hodgson played 225, Matty Bowen 270, so obviously they have quite similar careers in the NRL, but Mango was the man to go with. Okay, so from Michael Withers, we jump in 2001, we actually jump across Radlinski, Withers and Wellens playing again in those other starting games, to 2003's Bradford Bulls starting fullback. Can you remember who it was, Alan? And we're back to the safest houses, but not really spectacular in attack ones here, I think.
Stuart Reardon.
It was Stuart Reardon, yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Withers played 191 UK club games. Did Stuart Reardon play more or fewer UK club games than Michael Withers?
Okay, so he had a few seasons with us. He was in that Crusaders team that Tim will remember. He didn't have his injury. I think his career was curtailed a little bit. I think he played less.
He actually played more, 228.
Oh. All right. Okay.
Yeah, he played more.
There you go.
Another Harry Sunderland winner. I cannot remember how he won the Harry Sunderland in that game. I can't remember that game at all.
Right. It was like he had like this 6-month unbelievable form. He scored a brilliant cutback against the Grain try in the game. And he was really solid at fullback. He absolutely whacked a couple of your lads into touch and stuff. So yeah, he was brilliant for 6 months for us. So yeah, kind of a great lost talent at fullback.
Okay, Paul's leading the way at the moment on the normal questions, and it's your go again, Paul. And 2004, Leeds had a young fullback who would go on to be a cheerleader, then go on to be a gobshite on Twitter. What was he called? What was the young fella called?
The water boy would suffice as an answer.
I can't think.
Richie Mathers. Richie.
Oh, yes.
So, Stuart Reardon scored 4 international tries in his career. Richie Mathers, in his international career, do you think he scored more or less tries than 4?
Less.
Yeah, he scored none. He played 2 internationals, scored no tries. Absolutely correct, Paul. Richie Mathers scored none. Okay, but what he did get to do is play in the grand final again in 2005 for Leeds, where he was beaten by Michael Withers in his final grand final, of course, for the Bradford Bulls. We had Paul Wellens winning the Harry Sunderland in 2006. But Tim, who can you think of who might have been his opposing fullback on that occasion in 2006? Can you remember who they played, and that'll give you a big clue?
St Helens. So Paul Wellens?
No, who St Helens played in 2006? Come on.
I remember watching it, but oh no.
It was Hull FC. It was Sean Briscoe.
Ah.
Yeah.
The banana.
So, we've got Richie Mathers. It's the last one we spoke about. It's a new one. He played 266 UK club games. He also played 6 games in the NRL. Didn't score any tries in the NRL either. Did Sean Briscoe score play in more or fewer than 266 UK club games?
I'm going to say more.
He actually played in less, according to the numbers I've seen, 245. I'm going to check that, though, because I don't believe that. Because I feel like he was always on the pitch. Like, when did he never... No, 245 times. Sean Briscoe. So, Tim doesn't score anything in that round. We're now on to the first appearance in a Super League Grand Final of Kiwi. Was he really a Kiwi, Brent Webb, or did he just become one? Was he one of them that became one?
I think he had a convenient passport situation.
Okay, so we're back round to Alan. Brent Webb, of course, played in those Leeds Rhinos glory years. In those glory years, did he score more or fewer than Sean Briscoe's 105 UK club tries?
He was around a little while, and he was quite prolific. I'm going to say he scored more.
No, he scored 91. 91 UK club tries. Right, I'm going to offer out bonus points for this next one. Okay? And Paul, as it's your question that we'll get to, you get to go first on the bonus points. And this is one of the fullback performances for the ages. This won the Harry Sunderland Trophy in 2008. And I'm going to let you all have a guess at who was the fullback. Starting with Paul, who was the fullback for Leeds in 2008 who won the Harry Sunderland Trophy?
2008 Leeds. Leeds. I would go Burrows.
Tim, do you want to have a guess at who it was?
Not particularly.
Fair enough.
What about...
Bonus points are available.
I'm gonna risk it on Scott Donald.
Okay, a risk on Scott Donald. We've had Rob Burrow, we've had Scott Donald. Alan, do you want to make a different guess?
Now, I don't. The date seems a bit early, but Lee Smith had a very good grand final, so I'm going to go for Lee Smith.
Alan's pulled it out of the bag. It was Lee Smith.
Yes.
Lee Smith. So the bonus point to Alan, but Paul, it's still your question, so you've got a chance to score a point anyway. Okay, so Brent Webb scored 9 international tries in his international career. Did Lee Smith score more or fewer than 9 international tries?
Lee Smith. I would say... I'm going to continue a theme and say less.
Yeah, he scored 7. 7 tries in 8 internationals for Lee Smith, though. That's quite impressive. Anyway, I mean, we must all remember that Lee Smith grand final, surely, because Eddie didn't shut up about it for the rest of Lee Smith's career. It was one of those, things that stood out so much in the man's career. He had a good career, don't get me wrong. He was very resilient when he was at Wakefield in between all his union spells. But that one night, that was one of the great grand final kind of shocks, that Lee Smith was beyond competent. He was flawless in rough October conditions. He had a flawless game and contributed both in defence and attack, didn't he, for Leeds? We must all remember that one.
We did.
Obviously not.
Obviously not.
No.
Right, so in 2009 it was Brent Webb versus Paul Wellens, so we won't get to that. Paul Wellens was the losing fullback who started the 2010 Grand Final against a man who started the first of his 3 Super League Grand Finals. I mean, everyone knows that will be Sam Tomkins of Wigan. I don't think we need to go over that too much because we know how amazing it was. But what I want to ask you, Tim, is and this is current date for this guy, obviously, but Lee Smith's career is in the books. This guy's career hasn't finished yet, but as it stands, who has played the most UK club games? Lee Smith with 246 or Sam Tomkins? Has he played more or fewer UK club games than Lee Smith?
I'm going to say less.
Yeah, less by 5. 241.
Oh, you kept me hanging there.
Tension time. Right, okay. So we jump from Sam Tomkins in 2010. We get another Paul Wellens-Brent Webb final yawn in 2011. Then in 2012 we see 2 new fullbacks for the first time since 2000. So there you go. That's exciting. It was Warrington versus Leeds. Now, I don't really know where to go with this first one for Warrington in terms of more or fewer, because it's kind of a totally different career. But, Alan, Brett Hodgson was the fullback for Warrington that year. I'm gonna have to play a bit of a combined game here and kind of mix it up a little bit. But compared to Sam Tomkins, combined tries in his career, because otherwise, obviously, it'd be too easy with one playing a long NRL career and one playing a long Super League career. So, I'm just working out the numbers. Bear with me.
Right. Well, while you're doing that, we all know that Sam Tomkins was a failure in the NRL anyway, so that's fine.
He scored 14 tries in 37 games, so that was more than no tries in 6 games for Richard Mathers. Not that he should be the comparison for anyone anyway. Okay, so who has scored the most combined tries in their career, Sam Tomkins or Brett Hodgson? Sam Tomkins scored 211 to date, so did Brett Hodgson in his career score more or fewer than 211 tries?
Purely based on the fact that traditionally you score less tries in the NRL generally, I'm going to say Brett Hodgson scored fewer.
Yes, he scored 148 to Sam Tomkins' 211. Right, Paul, we're now on to the other new starting fullback. First game starting as a fullback in the grand final. It was a Leeds fullback. Any idea who it might have been? Which young fullback popped up around 2012 to start being a star?
Hardacre.
Yeah, it was Hardacre's first grand final. And let's have a look and see which option we can do for these two players. So, we're going to have to go combined tries again. So we know Brett Hodgson scored 148 in his career. Has Zach Hardacre scored more or less tries so far in his career than 148?
I'm going to continue with my less.
It is less. 127, so there's not a huge margin in it. And obviously, 2 of those were international tries. 1 was a try in his brief NRL stint with the Penrith Panthers, and 124 of the 127 were scored in Super League so far. Now, 2013, Tim, saw Warrington bring a new fullback to the fold, and he actually went off injured in this game, which some say might have been a decisive factor, although if his second rower Ben Westwood had been put in the sin bin or sent off for what he did earlier in the game, it wouldn't have mattered at all, would it? Stephen Ratchford made his first grand final appearance, his first of, I think, 4. So, yeah, sorry, I got distracted by messages from work telling us what's happening with the whole corona situation. Stephen Ratchford, Tim, has he scored more or less Super League tries than Zach Hardacre's 124?
Less.
Yeah, it's 106. So absolutely correct to go with less.